Oh, hello. I know, right? Whose balls did I have to fondle to get my very own movie? I can't tell you, but it does rhyme with pulverine.
Hello and welcome once again to the Cine-Files, where each week we enter the world of a great film. We explore its themes, the history, the filmmaking, and the influence it has on us today. My name is Steve Morris. I am a filmmaker and directing instructor in Los Angeles, California.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Rocha. I'm a writer, producer, and host in San Diego, California, and really excited to be going back in time, Steve, to 10 years ago to dive into this film, which was an interesting experience in 2026 for so many reasons, both on camera and off camera. So, yeah.
What's so weird about it is that we are now officially at the point where 10 years ago we were making the Cine-Files. So we have now entered the realm because we started right around April of 2016. And I think released our first, because we recorded a few episodes in advance. I think it was June that we released our first episode, but we were now setting up to do the Cine-Files when this film came out. And of course, the film we are talking about is Deadpool. And I'm super excited to get into this.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun for sure.
But of course, we can't have that kind of fun without our supporters on patreon.com/the Cine-Files, as well as Apple Podcasts. And on Apple Podcasts, you can get ad-free versions of the show, as well as access to our Cine-Files shorts, which we record every single week. And if you're on Patreon, you have the additional ability with other tiers to have questions entered for various episodes. You're going to hear some as we go along, as well as join our Cine-Files advisory board, which literally helped us pick Deadpool as our next movie just a week ago. So there's big stuff happening on both Patreon and Apple Podcasts.
Absolutely. Another way you can support the show is also when you listen to it and you hear the ads, if there's a product or a service that you want to try, and we encourage you to try, please make sure you use our code when you sign up for that service or that product. Or that good, so that you can get a massive discount and signal to them, those businesses, they should keep coming back every month and sponsor us here on the Cine-Files. Hims, Peace Corps, BetterHelp, Quince, those are ones you're going to hear running right now, and possibly Drizzly down the road as well. We'll see. But yeah, that's what we've got going on here. So thank you all so much to the clients who sponsor us and to all of you who support us by possibly trying out their services.
John, how did you first come to this mature, serious drama known as Deadpool?
I imagine it was a bunch of us getting together in Los Angeles. I don't have a specific memory of seeing it, but I imagine it was a bunch of us getting together in Los Angeles, going to see it at maybe at the Grove or at the Grauman's or at the ArcLight. But I just remember it was probably a bunch of us going to see it and just absolutely having a great time with it, and then hanging out afterwards to talk about it, I imagine.
I definitely saw it in the theater. So Jackson was 5 at this point. So I was getting out more. I don't think I saw it with the big group. I feel like I saw it in Burbank, maybe at a matinee or something. But boy, is this a great movie to see in the movie theater. It just was such, particularly because this is mid MCU. Superhero movies are really big and many of them great. But this was its own special thing that fit in its own perfectly special place. I had a blast seeing this in the theater.
One of the rare Fox Marvel movies that absolutely nailed it. And so it was like, because as you were saying, we're mid-MCU in the fact that we're 8 years into the MCU. Of course, this is not an MCU film, but we are mid-MCU. And so the fans now have been like, they've developed this taste for comic book movies, looking for something different. And here comes Deadpool, which was a character that isn't like globally isn't like Superman or Batman, but certainly we were opening the door as comic book fans and as movie fans to exploring these lesser known characters and seeing what we could get on screen for sure.
So Deadpool, a little bit of backstory. Deadpool, of course, was created by Fabian Nicieza and Rob Liefeld for an issue of New Mutants 98. And I should say that I actually know Fabian. I was a hanger-on of Jeff Johnson when he was breaking into comics, and Fabian was Jeff's editor. Mm-hmm. So when I went down to Comic-Con, and you've heard those stories of that I've told of like when Marvel had massive expense accounts, I got taken out to dinner by Fabian many times. I don't know that he would remember me. Certainly, of course, he remembers Jeff. And Rob, I met a bunch too through Dan Panosian, who's been on the show because Dan was at Image working at Rob's studio. So, and Rob wouldn't remember me at all, but I was definitely around, probably 5 or 6 years before they created Deadpool. I knew them both. Deadpool started off as a villain. And originally he is, for those of you who might not know, he's actually a parody of the character Deathstroke, which is Slade Wilson from the DC universe. And suddenly, and it's really, I think, everyone always talks about Rob Liefeld as the guy that created Deadpool. I think it's Fabian. Because it's really breaking the fourth wall. It's not it's not that it's not a great design. It is a great design. Right. But it's the breaking the fourth wall and the sense of humor. It's the writing, I think, that makes Deadpool pop literally right out of that book.
I agree 100%. It's what kind of separated him from a lot of other heroes who had come before and after. And listen, we'd had the smart alecky Peter Parker, of course, the whole time. Sure. But this one took that smart assery to a whole nother level, almost at times fatalistic. In how he wanted to poke and prod the bear to get the strongest reaction and mess with and push the lines, and this was at a time when we were kind of, again, pushing the boundaries of what could be accepted in comic book characters.
The way this all came about is that Ryan Reynolds is working on Blade Trinity, and I think it's David S. Goyer, who's the screenwriter of that, is watching Ryan's performance, and it's like, this character you're playing, it's totally like Deadpool. And Ryan's like, who's Deadpool? And he gives him a bunch of comic books, and it sounds like Ryan Reynolds, like, this is love at first sight. Like, he just is like, this is the guy for me. And at the time, theoretically, Artisan owned the rights to the character of Deadpool. This is in the early 2000s is where the Punisher movie came from with what's his name, Thomas Jane, and some of those other films, because this is when Marvel, who had been in bankruptcy, had sold off all its rights, some to Fox, some to Artisan, some to Sony, some to different places. And so it seemed like Deadpool was maybe in the Artisan camp, and they worked on it for a few years until finally Fox said, no, Deadpool is in the X-Men camp. You can't have it. And they took it away from Artisan. And now the project is dead. And this is like 2005 or 2000, something like that. And then Fox kind of circles back and says, well, maybe this Deadpool character is interesting because Ryan is not a huge movie star at this point, but still a movie star. Yeah. And they go, maybe we'll fold him in to our X-Men Wolverine origin movie. And this has got to be one of the great debacles and uses of the character in history. I mean, what do you think of Ryan Reynolds' portrayal of Wade Wilson in Wolverine?
Yeah, it was such a colossal misstep. This is what happens sometimes when you have people get involved in these comic book movies who don't really understand the character. And as you said just a few minutes ago, clearly Ryan didn't really fully understand the character because he'd come to the character a little bit later. Right. So there wasn't that necessarily preciousness. And also at the time, Ryan is kind of still building as a name. Yes, he'd been on Two Guys That Grow in a Pizza Place and a couple other things, but he didn't have this like force of Hollywood behind him like he does now to be able to steer how Wade is presented and how Deadpool is presented. But in the end, I mean, it becomes a legendary, right? I mean, this is the thing that's crazy about Ryan Reynolds. He finally got it right on the 5th time of asking a superhero movie, right? Because of what R.I.P.D., Blade Trinity, and Green Lantern, and then there in the Wolverine film. And so, yeah, it was such a colossal misstep. But yeah, these are the moments where you find out like who really pays attention to the comic books and who doesn't.
It's one of those things because, he literally sewed his mouth shut, Yeah. It's like, let's take the essential characteristic, which is this guy talks, and take it away from him. And this is where I go like, why do Deadpool? This is like, there's so many things where you have these, and you see it all the time, great character from a comic book or great character from a book or something else. And they go, yeah, let's do this. And then entirely throw out what that character actually is and just put the name on them. It just doesn't make, now that is something, by the way, that will happen in Deadpool with the character Negasonic, which is that she does not match what's in the comic, but that one is totally fine. So nobody likes the portrayal of Deadpool in Wolverine, and Fox starts thinking, well, maybe there is something with having Ryan play this Deadpool character, and we could just ignore everything we just did in Wolverine, which is pretty much what they started to do. Ryan Reynolds brings in Rhett, Reese, and Pal Wernick. They're hired to write it, and Ryan is working very closely with them. These guys, they wrote on all 3 movies. And what it sounds like it sounds like from everybody I heard that Ryan Reynolds is the guy that holds the vision of Deadpool. That he had a sense of who the character was and worked very closely with the writers. Now, is that exaggerated Hollywood star stuff? Probably to some degree it is, but I also think it's true. And from what I've heard and listening to all the interviews and listening to things, it's like Ryan, when things were sort of, will he do this or this? Ryan was the guy who kind of understood, because this is a weird movie with a very strange tone. And they absolutely nail it. And I think Ryan Reynolds is partially responsible for nailing that.
Yeah, I think him and Tim Miller are absolutely the big reasons why this thing succeeds. Because, in my opinion, none of the other two Deadpool movies is as good as this one. They really aren't. And Rhett, Reese, and Wernick are such great writers. They also did the Zombieland movies. I had a chance to interview them years ago, which was a lot of fun for the Zombieland Double Tap release on video. And it was at a monster truck rally, which was great. So just the combo of that, very, very nice guys, like just such cool, down-to-earth dudes. And so you can tell where this sensibility came from. So I guess I should amend my comment, Steve, because I think you're right. It's Rhett, Reese, Wernick, Ryan Reynolds, and Tim Miller, all four of them coming together to really get this thing correct. That was the secret sauce, because I don't think, as I said, the other two movies aren't as magical as this one overall.
I think that my opinion on Deadpool Wolverine is that it has moments that are more magical than any of the other two.
Sure.
But I think Deadpool is the best of the three.
Yeah.
But,
Deadpool's like the first blood of the Rambo franchise. That's what it feels like. Yeah. Of this one.
I have to think of, now I'm picturing Deadpool as Rambo being hunted by the cops in the mountains, and it's done. It's just like sold.
Go.
I mean, and now they're looking for a director, and they bring on Robert Rodriguez.
Oh,
who's going to direct Deadpool. Yeah. That lasted a few months. Then they bring in Andy Berg. That lasts a few months. And then they got dropped. And by 2011, and this is like 2005 to 2011 is when they're developing this for Fox. There were completely new versions of the script every year for 6 years. So 6 years you're rewriting the same project. And by the way, that's how it feels to be a screenwriter. It's like, I'm back to this again, trying to get a sale on this thing. And at this point, Fox is basically, this isn't going to happen. And so finally, Ryan, who had been, from what I hear, like he really wanted to do Deadpool, decides to take another offer to do a different superhero movie. And that is when he goes and does Green Lantern.
Oof. Yeah.
I saw it. I think I literally have blocked it out. I remember zero of it.
Yeah. There are so many missteps in that movie. I only watched it once, and I don't think I ever need to watch it again.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible, and it's like every single wrong choice you could make, they make in that movie. Yeah. And now Ryan Reynolds has a superhero bomb on his record, and so Fox really isn't interested in making this movie, particularly because of the R rating. All of the superhero movies that have been successful are PG or PG-13, and they want that broad, 4-quadrant audience. And Deadpool is not going to be PG-13. They tried to do a pass. They tried to do a PG-13 pass of Deadpool, and they finally just went. And this is again where I think Ryan Reynolds is sort of the steward of the Deadpool character. Like, no, that's not. We can't do that and not compromise the character.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting time with Ryan Reynolds, right? Because I mean, he'd started out been in these TV shows and been in, Two Guys Going to Pizza Place and all that, and a show called Zero Man. He'd done some stuff, some movies and things, but and done The Proposal, but he hadn't quite kind of burst through. And as you said, Green Lantern comes in and it's a bad movie. Then you get Safe House, which is one of those Denzel Washington vehicles. But then R.I.P.D. comes in with him and Jeff Bridges, and that tanks. And then A Million Ways. Oh, he's a cat. He's only the Mississippi Grind. Nobody sees. Woman of Gold. Nobody sees. Selfless isn't that well. So he's kind of in that weird place. So it almost feels like Ryan knew, like, this has got to work. Like, this has got to work, because my career at this point, 2 decades into my career, because it started in the mid 90s, we're at 2016. Like, I've got to get a hit here. I've got to make this work. And so I think there was that kind of like hunger and ambition and desire that pushed him into this moment. And at that age that he was at, that it was the time to like take a chance and break all the rules and make this happen somehow, you know?
I think this is true of all great movie stars, is they have a specific set of skills. And they need
Yes.
the role. They need the role that allows them to use those particular skills to the best ability. Now, some great actors are incredibly broad and wide in their range of skills. Ryan Reynolds needed Deadpool. I agree. Like this fits him like that awesome costume that he wears. And now Fox is wavering and they go, maybe if we can do this on a much, much smaller budget, like not a regular superhero movie at all, maybe there's a way to do it. And that is when Tim Miller comes into the picture. And what's interesting about Tim Miller is that he doesn't come from live action films. He has an Academy Award winning short animated film, and then he's done special effects on all sorts of big movies. And he is a real special effects expert. And he says to Fox, no, I can do this movie. I know how to do this movie much cheaper because I know how to use all the technology in a way you've never done it before. Which is, and they go essentially, okay, prove it. And they give him an unspecified couple $100,000. I don't know exactly how much to go out and shoot some test footage. And the big thing, and we'll talk about this more as we go along.
Yeah.
It's the way Tim Miller combines previs, which is using computers to pre-visualize the moments, motion capture, so having people in suits with little dots on them so cameras can track them, digital sets, and how to combine that with live sets and live action. He has an entirely different approach for doing this. And that is really what they're testing when they shoot this footage, which is largely footage from that opening action sequence in the car with Deadpool, with the quipping. And so they shoot this test footage.
And the credits. And the sarcastic critics. Yeah.
Yep. And Fox is not impressed. They go, whatever. It didn't convince them. It looked cheesy. I don't think they got the tone. And then it dies. That's the end of Deadpool. And then Avengers comes out in 2012, is a monster hit.
Yeah.
But Fox, and some of the things that are going on, by the way, so Tim Miller, and I'm assuming through special effects, is buddies with James Cameron and David Fincher. And they've read the Deadpool script. So Cameron and Fincher call up Fox and say, you guys should really do this. Wow. But Fox still isn't budging. We have this, 2 minutes of test footage, and a few years go by. And then all of a sudden, strangely, right around the time of Comic-Con, that footage comes out.
Yeah. Quote unquote leaked. Quote unquote. Big quotes.
Well, and this brings us to a question from one of our patrons, which is Fernando Perez, who says, do you think Ryan Reynolds was behind the leak? John, what do you think?
Yeah, 100%. He admitted it years later, because initially, they were all acted as if, oh, what? Who leaked what? How could anybody leak anything? But he did admit it years later that he did leak it. This was he was an interview at the premiere of the John Kennedy film at TIFF, where Reynolds was the producer for it. He officially admitted, he said, yes, I did cheat a little. I thought we had something people were really interested in, so I acted accordingly. I'm so glad I trusted my instincts, and I'm so glad I did the wrong thing at the right moment. So, Steve, as much as we talk about on the show that we appreciate actors, directors, creatives who do the things the right way and follow the rules and respect the norms of film tradition, we also know that some of the great films are made by directors and creators and actors and producers and execs who break the rules, who find this moment to break the rules, and in that moment make a great film happen. And so, although I don't think Deadpool belongs in the conversation with The Godfather, it was a groundbreaking film in the style and approach, and it certainly is the film that elevated Ryan Reynolds into global superstardom. So whatever they did, however they leaked it, whoever was in agreement with all of this, it was an essential, legendary moment in the world of superhero comic book movies,
I have many thoughts about this. I mean, like in general, I spend a lot of time thinking about what is the moral thing to do and the right thing to do. Yes. We have to follow the proper codes and stuff like that. I am fully for breaking the rules when appropriate. I always go back to the quote that Alan Moore put into Watchmen, which is a Bob Dylan quote, which is, in order to live outside the law, you must be honest. And that you can interpret that lots of ways. But what it means to me is that if I decide to break the rules, if I decide to step outside of the law, then
Yeah.
I am taking the moral responsibility of the state on myself.
Yeah.
I have to make sure, it's up to me to make sure that nobody gets hurt. It's up to me. So when I went out and shot things without permits, I made sure I was being very safe. I made sure I wasn't taking anything from somebody. I cheated all sorts. I mean, like, what's his name? German director who directed Grizzly Man. Werner Herzog.
Oh, Werner Herzog. Yeah.
Yeah. He would teach a 1 week film school. And the first thing he taught on the first day of his 1 week film school was how to pick locks and forge documents. Because he thinks that filmmakers on some degree are criminals. And having made Great White Shark documentaries with Mike Hoover, there's a lot of pick locks and forge documents. And so I always go back to, when you live outside the law, you have to be honest. And for me, who's hurt by him leaking that footage? Nobody. Like, I don't see a major negative. And certainly Fox and everybody else is happy that he leaked the footage. So I'm kind of like, okay.
This is interesting. You say, I do think nobody was hurt necessarily, right? But I do think it was a little bit of egg on the face on the studio, because remember, they're the ones that didn't want to do it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and so I think there were some execs who were probably super pissed that he leaked it because of how it became a groundswell of support to see this thing. Because they shot it back in 2012, and it was in 2014 that they leaked the footage. So it had been sitting there for a while. Here's the quotes from Ryan. He said, "I'd shot test footage for a couple of years before, and the studio just didn't want anything to do with it. Deadpool's a fringe character. People didn't really know who he was, and I loved him. I was obsessed with it because I loved that he knew he was in a comic movie. It was kind of meta. It was kind of new, but the test footage existed, and it really was a case study of how this could work, and they just wouldn't do anything with it. So some asshole leaks it online, and I'm like, looking at the guy in the mirror brushing my teeth as the asshole, and I'm like, dude, what have you done? This could be punishable by law. But the internet forced the studio to say, we're going to make this movie. And 24 hours later, that movie had a green light. So, yes, some execs were probably pissed, but in the end, Ryan got what he wanted, and Fox made a lot of money off this movie and the subsequent movies. So,
and we got what we wanted because we got the movie. We got the movie. Like when we hear a story about Orson Welles doing little trickster moves to get his movie made, I'm like,
right,
yeah. I mean, that's sometimes what has to happen. So, yes, Fox greenlights the picture, and it was interesting that initially what Fox really wanted was a non-origin story. They wanted a story that started with just an adventure of Deadpool. And Ryan said no. And what they ended up doing kind of was melding two stories.
Yeah.
Now, this is already going to be a much smaller budget than your average superhero movie. Initially, it was like $65 million. And, even at that time in 2016, there were no superhero movies made under $100 million. And now, of course, none of them are made under $200 million. And then just 2 days, 48 hours before they start shooting, Fox sends them a message and said, we're cutting 10% of the budget. So suddenly they have $8 million less to make this movie. Right before they had to cut 9 pages and a bunch of locations and characters right before going in to shoot. I mean, this is brutal.
This has to be revenge. Yeah. This has to be revenge. Now shoot it for less.
It is. You're totally right. I hadn't thought about it, but you're totally right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
By the way, the working title of this movie is Wham! Not Wham! Wham! And one more thing is that Ryan really wanted the writers on the set because he knew there was going to be a lot of improv. And particularly when you have a lot of improv, you need a writer there to kind of keep everything straight. Are we getting all of our exposition out? Is everything working? Or if a scene isn't working or it's half working, you have the writers on the set. Fox refused to pay the writers to be on the set. And so Ryan Reynolds paid for them out of his own pocket.
That's very kind of him.
That is all my pre-production. Would you like to get into Deadpool?
Let's do it. Let's put on the spandex and get in there.
So we got the Marvel logo thing playing, and then right into Angel of the Morning by Newton. That song is so perfectly sets the tone of this movie.
There'll be no strings to bind your hands, not if my love can bind your heart.
That song was there in the original test footage as well. They had used it and edited it to that song. So they had kept that for the movie, which I thought was really smart. But I have to ask you, Steve, do you remember the first time you heard Angel of the Morning by Juice Newton in the 1980s? The version.
I have zero memory of the first time I heard that song. Do you, John, have an important memory there?
100%. Being 11 years old, hearing that song, and Juice, for whatever reason, I loved this. And by the way, I found out years later, it's a remake. It's not an original version of the song. There have been, I think, 2 other versions, if I'm looking at this correctly. Mary Rush and Chip Taylor, I think, did versions, and then the Juice Newton one. But there was something about the opening. Let me tell you something about 80s music, ladies and gentlemen. Bombs were dropping in our minds, nuclear bombs. So 80s music is loud. It is big. Chicago has 45 people on the stage, like big drums, Genesis. And so Angel of the Morning starts off with that. And so to me, it's like an attention-grabbing song. And Juice went on a nice little run there in the 1980s, had a lot of big hits, kind of a country music, pop artist crossover. And this was a massive song for her. It was the highest charting and best-selling version ever in the U.S., and she recorded it. And it's perfect because Deadpool plays with that kind of soft rock, hard rock kind of vibe throughout the whole movie and as a character. So it endears you to him. So it was a perfect song to choose, as you said, man.
No, this is why I don't. This is so hard to make this movie because the tone is so bizarre. And it's playing on so many different levels. And this title sequence, I know I've said this before, where you're in the opening of a movie and you kind of can relax because you go oh, this film knows what it's doing. Right. This title sequence, it is one of the great title sequences ever for many, many reasons. And it's not going to be that easy for me to describe all of it. What I will say is that what the genius of it is that this whole thing is one CG frozen moment in time. That's what we're looking at. We're seeing it one frozen moment in time. But what's interesting about it is this frozen moment in time dictates the action from an entire action sequence. Because what they have to do is figure out, how did everything get to this moment in time? And then what happened after this moment of time? So everything in here is in here for a reason, including the credits, which is one of the great, great things. Is that we see a hot lighter and a dude with a burn on his forehead. We go past a coffee cup that says Rob L. for Rob Liefeld.
Yeah.
And then we see 20th Century Fox presents Marvel Entertainment, some douchebag's film. And when you see, and there's this thing, I'm sure you've done this, where you don't always read all the credits.
Right.
Like sometimes you read the credits and sometimes you don't. And so the credit goes by, you're like, what did I just see? Did that say some douchebag's film? Wait, what? And then you start to realize, I need to pay attention to this.
This is in the great vein of the Zucker films, right? The airplane films. It has that kind of humor right off the bat, and it sets the tone for the whole movie. It's so smart.
You know what the difference is, I would say, with the Zucker films is they're just making jokes. They're just making words that are funny and putting them together.
Right.
Whereas this is making a statement. About and making fun of specific things and people and ideas.
Yeah.
Because the next thing we go to is starring God's perfect idiot. They're all so damn funny. We go past the People magazine where Ryan Reynolds is the sexiest man alive. And then our next 2 cast members are a hot chick and a British villain. This is sending up the entire cliches of superhero movies.
Yeah.
There's so many jokes and so many details in this movie, and I'm not going to say them all. We are not going to go into them all. So those of you who are going to want to write in, hey, you missed this Easter egg or this shot or this thing, feel free. I'd love to hear them all. It's fine. I guarantee you, we will miss tons of them as we go. But one of them right now is a little Green Lantern trading card that goes by that we see. By the way, one of the things they were working really hard on was they wanted inside jokes. But they didn't want deep inside comic book jokes. They wanted jokes. They didn't want only someone who had read issue 327 of X-Men they didn't want that kind of thing. They wanted pop culture. I mean, Ryan Reynolds is a huge pop culture guy. So they want pop culture jokes, but ones that lots of people will get many of. And the Green Lantern card being one of them.
Yeah, I agree. And later we're going to get the world's sexiest man People or Us cover or whatever. I think it's People, but yeah, they wanted to know that they wanted the audience to feel like they were all in on the joke, the makers of the film and the audience. So we're on this journey together. It is subconsciously a brilliant decision to bring the audience in. Yes, we know what's going on. We know he played this character. We know he was this or that. We know it too. And the world of the film knows it. So, but we're never going to like really address it as canon, but the world of the film knows it. So it's smart.
Right. Our next 4 characters are the comic relief, a moody teen, a CGI character, and a gratuitous cameo. All of which you could look at tons of movies, superhero movies, and go, yep, there's that one, there's that one. Yep, there is a British villain, there is a hot chick. And while we're seeing these credits, we see a guy with his face just right up Deadpool's ass. There's just this is like a plethora. This is such a gift of silliness that's happening in this credit sequence.
Yeah.
And then produced by asshats. While we see a guy getting what I can only describe as like an atomic wedgie. I mean, it's a powerful underwear pull. Written by the real heroes here. Which is great because the writers in this theory wrote the credits.
Yeah.
And then the camera pulls back and we see like the whole image of this SUV and explosions and guys. We're over a bridge and we see directed by an overpaid tool. Who, strangely enough, will not be asked back to direct the sequel.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation for sure. Yeah.
And then we've had this credit sequence, crazy action. We have no idea what's going on. And then we cut to the most mundane of locations you can possibly imagine, which is Deadpool in the back of a cab.
Yeah.
And this is not a nice cab, by the way. It's a bit run down, and I love all the little bits of him looking through the pamphlets and the gum and all the stuff is just very funny.
Kind of lonesome back here.
And he climbs awkwardly into the front seat with the driver, who is Karan Soni, who plays Dopinder.
Yeah. And for those of you who are aware of his other superhero role, he also plays Pavitir Prabhakar, Spider-Man India in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That is the voice you hear. Yeah.
Cool.
He was born in New Delhi. He moved to the U.S. to study business at USC before pursuing an acting career. He debuted in Safety Not Guaranteed. He was also in Beta's Other Space and recently in A Nice Indian Boy, which is a film about a gay relationship, Indian man and a white American man, and which I think it's Jonathan Groff who does the other man. And it's a fun little film. It's actually a really quietly good little film. But he was also in Ghostbusters, Office Christmas Party, Pokemon, Detective Pikachu, and in TV shows like Blunt Talk and Miracle Worker. So he had a lot of, he's worked a lot before and he worked a lot after. So, but this is the one that everyone just kind of remembers him from for sure.
And he didn't want to do it. He was in, like, they had seen him in an AT&T commercial and thought he was really funny and brought him in, and he was like, I don't think this could ruin my career. But they finally convinced him, and he's great. The rhythm between him and Ryan Reynolds is just so perfectly bizarre.
Dopinder.
Cool. Dead.
The line they walk here, I think, is really important when you look at comedy, right? Because this could have easily been, let's make fun of the guy with the Indian accent, right? It could have easily been played that way. And we've seen that happen in numerous films. But the way they play it, where Deadpool treats him as an equal the whole time, doesn't make fun of his accent, doesn't make fun of, and doesn't highlight it at all. It's us for the audience to interpret what's going on here. And so I like that they play. So, but there are certain things he says that have a comedic kind of approach to them or delivery to them. So you laugh along with both of them through the scene. And as I said, it's interesting to walk that line where you don't slide into kind of racist comedy, but you stay in between that line that makes it funny for everybody who's watching. It's smart.
I mean, I think part of it is he is very much his own character, particularly as we see the choices he makes later in the film.
Yes.
and so what happens, because Deadpool is such a totally bizarre character, is that because Dopinder kind of likes him or accepts him, he accepts the reality that he's in.
Yes.
Like he's kind of yes-anding it, that we don't feel. And as you said, Deadpool's not making any fun of him.
Yes, Geeta. She is quite lovely. She would have made me a very agreeable wife, but Geeta's heart has been stolen by my cousin Bandhu. He is as dishonorable as he is attractive.
And I'm watching this movie going like, what is going on? What is this movie about?
But they're quietly setting up Dopinder's own hero story as a small subplot to the overall hero story that is going on here with Deadpool. It's really smart.
I mean, both of them have to get back their girl. I mean,
against all odds, and both of them have to kind of kidnap the villain.
Dopinder, I'm starting to think there's a reason I'm in this cab today.
Yeah, sir, you called for it, remember?
No, my slender brown friend. Love is a beautiful thing. When you find it, the whole world tastes like daffodil daydream. So you gotta hold on to love. Tight. Don't make the same mistakes I did. Got it?
Yeah.
Or else the whole world tastes like Mama June after hot yoga.
And again, I'm watching this movie going, what's happening? What is this? And I love that rather than going, I have no idea what you're talking about. Why are you sitting in the front seat of my cab? What the hell? Why are you wearing this costume? What the hell is going on? He yes-ands because he says,
Sir, what does Miss Mama June taste like?
Like two hobos fucking in a shoe filled with piss.
enough.
I can go all day, Dopinder. The point is, it's bad.
Now, for those who may not catch the reference, Mama June is a reference to a woman from a reality TV show whose daughter is Honey Boo Boo. And Honey Boo Boo became a massive thing. And Mama June is still doing reality shows. Now, they always come up with a new one every few years. So so there you go. That's the reference.
and I didn't get it. So I'm glad that you explained it to me. Thank you.
Yeah. But like Steve said, we're going to miss some of these. So don't be dependent on me or Steve to get these right. So, yeah.
They are constant. They're absolutely constant.
Why the fancy red suit, Mr. Poole?
Oh, that's because it's Christmas Day, Dopinder. And I'm after someone on my naughty list. I've been waiting 1 year, 3 weeks, 6 days, and 14 minutes to make him fix what he did to me.
And what did he do to you, Mr. Poole?
This shit.
And he lifts up his mask.
Boom.
Let me ask you, Steve, what do you think about the decision to show the face this early in the movie? You know what I'm saying? Like with something that we've seen like The Mandalorian, we didn't see him take off that mask until like the final episode of the first season, I think. With the helmet, rather. So what do you think about them like trusting that the audience won't be like completely like turned off or abhorred by or seeing it like, or horrified rather of seeing the face? Like the fact that they just go and show it right off the bat instead of letting the mystery linger for a bit. What do you think about that?
This is a great question, and I think it's structural. That's
Okay.
sort of my response, because what I think is that The Mandalorian is a story of him protecting baby Grogu. You know, that's what's getting us involved. It's not about what's under the mask. Right. You know, and so what that gets established as is, I will never remove this mask. So what it's doing is it spends so much time building, I will never remove this mask, so that when he does, it's a heroic action.
Yeah.
Whereas we get thrown into this movie, and I'm in this, I watch this crazy title sequence, and I'm in this taxi cab with this guy, and I have no idea what the fuck is going on. I don't have a plot for this movie. I don't have a structure yet. So when he says, I'm going to get the guy that did this to me, it makes me kind of settle in and go, okay, I understand what the movie's about. So
good point.
That's kind of how I think they
understood.
They thought about it. And then we cut to Ed Skrein, who plays Ajax, and I would say he is our British villain.
Yes, an English actor, filmmaker, and rapper. This is the role that pretty much announced him to the world. You guys have seen him in years since in Alita: Battle Angel. He was in that Midway film. He was the main villain in the two recent Zack Snyder films on Netflix, Rebel Moon 1, Part 1, and Rebel Moon Part 2. He's also in Jurassic World Rebirth. And in Game of Thrones, he legendarily played Dario Naharis. And recently, in February of this year, he was cast as the Norse god Balder in the upcoming live-action adaptation of God of War, the video game series. So a lot of stuff there that he's done. So, yeah.
I will describe him in Deadpool. This is how I see him. As a person whose face is good looking that I hate him. That is how I feel with this character.
It's good casting. Agreed.
Yeah. I also think, by the way, this whole scene is unnecessary, other than the fact that what it does is when he says, I'm going to get the guy that did this to my face, you cut to him right away. And now the audience, everybody knows who the bad guy is. The rest of the scene is such a typical bad guy versus bad guy. And he does, there are way too many throat lifts in this movie where he picks up, it happens at least 3 times, maybe 4 or 5. And I find the scene, it's totally fine. I have no objections to the scene. It's just, nothing happens here that's very important. As far
just solidifies that he's a villain. That's it. You're right about that. Not much more than that. Yeah.
And then that convoy takes off, which I think is sort of right before the big action sequence that we're about to go into. We go back to the cab where Deadpool has forgotten his ammo bag. Do you think he really forgot his ammo bag, or does he do this himself on purpose?
Well, he did it again later on in the movie before the final battle. So I think he just gets so caught up in what he's going to do, he's forgetful.
Shall we turn back?
No time. Fuck it. I got this.
9, 10, 11, 12 bullets or bust.
So there is a legend about this that I think is not true, but I think is funny anyway.
Okay.
Which is that what they say is that the reason that he forgets his ammo bag is because Fox cut the budget. That they were going to shoot all sorts of things with Deadpool with more guns, but they came up with the 12 bullet thing because they couldn't do any of that. And that is their clever way to deal with budgetary reasons. And they even said at one point, I heard it originally was 18 bullets, but we cut it down to 12 for budgetary reasons, or 16. I've heard this story a bunch of different ways. I think it's true and not true. Like, I don't like, and I don't know this for sure, but I don't think the 12 bullets thing is so conceptual and such a great idea. I don't think they were just going, we're going to shoot a giant gun thing with him with lots of guns, and then later came up with it because they didn't have any money. I don't think that doesn't quite ring true to me, but it's possible. That is how they tell the story.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like you said at the beginning when you were talking about pre-production, they cut 10% of the budget. So maybe some of that 10% is this. So this is how they solved it in the screenwriting side of things, by making it seem as if he forgot his bag. So maybe.
Well, this is why it doesn't quite ring true. They cut 10% of the budget 2 days before they started shooting. Like that's not, like the way that 12 bullet things, that takes weeks to plan.
Oh, good point.
You know what I mean? Like it's
The
not something we
choreography.
rushed into. Can't shoot all these guns. I know we'll just do it with 12 minutes. Like it doesn't really work that way. That's why it doesn't ring true to me. I love the last line with Dopinder.
Merry Christmas.
And a convivial Tuesday in April to you too, Pool.
That's a great supporting character.
Yes.
Also, we should say, so this movie comes out after Guardians of the Galaxy, but boy, the soundtrack in this movie it's doing a different purpose from Guardians, but it is so surprisingly wonderfully great. Yeah. And the next song we get is some Salt and Pepper with Shoop.
Hey, yeah, I wanna shoot, baby.
Salt and Pepper. Man, I love Shoop. I don't know if they perform it anymore, but I love Shoop.
I certainly don't know if they perform it anymore. It'd be great. We should do a short of all the things Steve knows nothing about. Pop culture, music, all sorts of things. It'd be a long list, lots of sporting things.
I don't know. I only know this because recently all this kind of drama blew up around, which artists were part of a certain political party, which artists weren't. And I had no idea that from what I've read, some of the songs in the Salt and Pepper catalog do not get performed at concerts because one of them has become very religious. And so they don't like saying the things that they say in those songs. Now, I don't know if that's 100% true because I've never been to the concert to see or not see what they do, but some people I saw that some people had written that on some of the comic boards. So fascinating. But I love this song. This is such a great song. I think it's a 90s song too. A staple of the 90s.
I think it's 90s. And him sitting on the edge of that, overpass, dangling the feet and drawing a childlike picture and bopping to the music is just, at this point, I had the great title sequence. I had the totally bizarre but hilarious scene in the cab. And now we're listening to this music while he's kind of dancing around. And I'm like, I'm in. Yeah. I'm sold. I'm totally in on this movie.
There's a carefree nature to him that you just immediately enjoy. And this is Ryan at peak Ryan. The carefree sarcasm, but you sense that like he's charming in his sarcasm, and that's what wins him over with the audience for sure.
And then he does another surprising thing, which is turn right to camera and say,
"Oh, hello. I know, right? Whose balls did I have to fondle to get my very own movie?
I can't tell you, but it does rhyme with pulverine.
The first of many references.
And then he does his Australian accent.
And let me tell you, he's got a nice pair of smooth criminals down under.
So here is one of the advantages of doing a movie where a dude is basically in a mask for 60-70% of the film, which is that you're not married to whatever they recorded on the day.
Right.
You can add whatever lines you want. And so continually in post, they would try to come up with better lines. And what they would do is literally Ryan is sitting there in post with his cell phone, with his iPhone. He would record the audio into his iPhone, load it immediately into the cut, see if it works. If it doesn't work, they toss it and they do something else. If it does work, they scheduled a studio day to actually go in and do the real recording. So they're doing this a lot. So improvisation is key through this whole movie. There's tons of improvised lines. But it also keeps being improvised as you move into post because of he's in a mask. They can do whatever they want. And then, and I think this cut is brilliant, we cut to the inside of the car, and inside the car, what's playing on the radio is Angel in the Morning. And what that does perfectly is it puts your brain back to the opening and you go, oh, I know where we are. I know what's about to happen. That's a great feeling as a movie watcher. And the casual way Deadpool jumps off that over, just drops off the overpass, is key to how we're going to see him do everything that he does. So this is shot in Vancouver. This particular sequence, which is essentially 30% of the movie or something, was shot over 2 weeks on what I am told is one of the busiest overpasses in Vancouver.
Wow.
And they had to get up. They started shooting at 5 a.m. They had to be off the set at 3 p.m. And that meant off, entirely cleared out. So they had to, there couldn't be a piece of tape. Maybe they could leave a piece of tape on the road, but all the equipment, everything had to be cleared out. So they got really good. There was a drill at this time. Everybody wraps up. And I am sure it was impressive to see. Like, that's the kind of thing where well-organized movie sets. And this is the thing that people don't talk about with Deadpool. And this is where I think Tim Miller deserves so much credit. This is a tight shoot.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you make this movie at this budget unless you don't really have their shit together. And they had their shit together for this action sequence.
And it shows.
And this is really proving the point that Tim Miller was making on doing the budget, is that they can give a great action sequence with a low budget. And part of it is it's all previs.
Yeah.
And then what they're also doing is for the fight choreography, as they're developing the fight choreography, they're also doing motion cap so that they're actually getting the really, really good martial artists, as well as Ryan and what's his name, who plays Ajax.
Skrein.
At Skrein. They're motion capturing all the fight scenes. And then what they did was they photographed and captured all the locations, the real locations that they're on, so they could build all of those locations perfectly in the computer.
Wow.
Then they filmed everything, and then they did passes for motion capture and for reflection, which I'll get into when we get to Colossus, so that what they could do, and this is what this movie does that's so amazing, is that it seamlessly moves from you're watching real Ryan Reynolds in a real car. Now you're watching fake Ryan Reynolds with a fake car. Now you're watching a real car, but a fake Ryan Reynolds with a fake background. Now you're seeing the real background, and you're going from one to the other. And it's because they spent all that time in pre-production doing all the motion capture and building all the digital sets. So once they actually shot it, they could integrate them all perfectly.
Wow.
And I think this, this is just something that I thought, but listening to all this, I bet this was a huge step in filmmaking for superhero movies going forward. I bet the technique that Tim Miller developed were being used much more in the next 10 years.
You're probably right. Yeah, makes sense.
We're back to the action. He drops through the sunroof of the car. I love that they created a genuine fighting style for Deadpool that is different. It is crass and aggressive, and he doesn't care about himself. He's continually making jokes and poses and all that stuff. It's a blast.
Yeah.
Slams a guy's head into the front seat and says,
Rich Corinthian leather.
and then I love that he shows him the picture that he's been drawing and says, I'm looking for Francis. Have you seen this man?
And the rich Corinthian leather, as Steve and I are massive, of course, Wrath of Khan fans, is a reference to Ricardo Montalban. Yes, his old commercials from the 1970s, talking about a car with rich Corinthian leather.
John, ¿quién es más macho?
¿Quién es más macho, Bill Murray?
O Montalban. Kicks another guy out of the car, pushes down on the driver's foot to accelerate, pushes in the lighter. And this is what's so great is like, oh, this is now I see where the lighter is going to come from. Every little detail fills in what you saw when you were watching the title sequence. Lighter pops out, burns the guy's head, throws it into his mouth, and then says,
I've never said this, but don't swallow.
So good.
It's so good. What's funny to me, I think part of the secret of Ryan Reynolds is that the thing that makes him so good at Deadpool is also, strangely enough, I think the thing that makes him so good in Free Guy, which is a movie I totally like.
Yeah.
Is that there is a sweetness of Ryan Reynolds. There is a likability to him that allows him to say horrible, awful, terrible things jokingly, and you still really, really like him.
It's almost like a guest we've had on the Cine-Files in the past can say the most horrible things in joking and he gets away with it because he's so charming and so sweet and so kind. You know,
I think I know which guest you're talking about, but I'm not 100% sure.
I think you do.
And we also see, while this is going on, a motorcycle coming up fast with Ajax. And if you'll notice, this is a shot to look at a little bit, which is the way that the camera is moving with the motorcycle between cars super fast had never been done before.
Oh, wow.
This is a new technology. And what they basically said was, we want a steady cam, which is something that's super flexible, can move in all sorts of different directions, and is super smooth, but we want a steady cam that goes really fast. So what they did was they built a custom motorcycle. So this is a motorcycle. First of all, it's an electric motorcycle because the vibration from a combustion engine would throw off the camera. And it's got mass. So the way a Steadicam works is you have a dude in a rig and you have a camera that weighs, 50 pounds or whatever it is. And then you have 50 pounds of counterweights on you to balance it out. And that's what creates that smooth effect. And you can move it easily rather than lugging a big 50-pound camera, which nobody can move smoothly. So they essentially build the same thing onto this motorcycle, which means this motorcycle is like 400 or 500 pounds. It's like super heavy. It's super awkward. And they basically said only an expert could ever drive this thing. But that's how they get a lot of these really cool shots. And Poole sees Ajax and immediately slams his foot on the gas, flipping the car over. People flying in every possible direction. And Deadpool, and there's a great upside down shot of Deadpool flying as he turns the camera in this shot and said,
Shit. Did I leave the stove on?
And then we cut to Professor Xavier's mansion. We're at the X-Men mansion. Totally expected. We're hearing a news report about this big craziness going on in this overpass, and cut to Colossus eating cereal. And believe it or not, there is not one, not two, but three actors whose work is combining to make Colossus. They have an actual actor acting out the part. These are things we talked about with movies like Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff, where you have someone who is in a suit that's a motion capture suit. In this case, this guy is 6'5", still not tall enough to be Colossus, so he's got a thing on his head, and his name is Andre Tricotu, and he is a stuntman, and he's doing all the physical stuff on the set.
Oh, wow.
The second one is the voice actor, which is Stefan Kapicic, who is a fantastic voice. But then, and my guess is, I don't know this, but my guess is they actually, usually when they record a voice actor, they'll record their face as well, because they can use the facial expressions to match the performance. In this case, they did not use Stefan Kapicic's face. They brought in a different actor whose name I do not have to do the face acting and motion capture all the facial expressions for Colossus. So one body, one voice, one face. That's how they created this.
Yeah, and the guy who played Colossus before in X2 and Days of Future Past, Daniel Cudmore, refused to come back because he did not want to be the body and then have someone else dub the voice. Like they were going to get another actor to dub the voice, which is what the plan was all along. And he just didn't want to come back if he wasn't going to do the voice as well. And I thought Stefan Kapicic, who you guys have seen, if you've seen Brothers Bloom or recently The Last Voyage of the Demeter, I think is how it says, and he's been in Better Call Saul as well. I think he does a great job as Colossus, because I always thought Colossus was kind of shoved to the back in those X-Men movies, and it always pissed me off because I loved Colossus as a character in the comics. Yeah, just he's this massive steel thing, but he has such a sense of a softness and a care and an empathy and a sensibility of wanting to do the right thing all the time. With him and his sister, all that relationship. So I always thought they kind of screwed Colossus over in those X-Men movies. So it was nice to see him be like front and center here, having some fun back and forths with Deadpool.
I think that when they did those first X-Men movies, I think they were embarrassed by the Colossus character.
Possibly.
I don't think, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, that won't be cool. And it's like, yeah, that is the whole point. That's what makes this character so great. He is not cool and edgy, which is what makes him a perfect foil for Deadpool. Yeah. Because he's 100% straight-laced.
Negasonic, come, we have mission.
And she comes up, and this is Birianna Hildebrand.
Yeah. She's been known for appearing in the web series Annie Undocumented. She was also Aurora in the Netflix show Lucifer, which some of you all watch, which is based on Neil Gaiman's comics. She also portrayed Elodie Davis in the show Trinkets. And she was on the main cast of The Exorcist for the final season when you saw there as well. And the character was created by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely and appears in X-Men number 115 as well. Yeah. So, and she's a big proponent of the LGBTQ activism and speaks out on it all the time, and I think she's great in the movie.
She's really great. What's funny about this, they essentially picked her character for the name.
Mm-hmm.
Her powers in the comics is something about precognition, or I don't know. She's not a major character in any way.
Yeah.
But they're like, the name Negasonic is awesome. And so they went, but this character was not owned by, this character was not owned by Fox. This character was owned by the MCU. And so they went, but they really liked the name. And so they went over to Marvel and said, hey, can we use this character? And it sounds like, again, I'm not 100% sure of the accuracy of this, but it sounds like they did a trade. So they traded Negasonic for Ego the Living Planet in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Wow.
They said, which I guess had been a Fox character. That's what I have heard. Some of these details I'm not totally clear on.
Right.
One more thing about Birianna Hildebrand.
Yeah.
She had a huge crush on Ryan Reynolds in high school. Freshman year of high school, she photoshopped herself into many pictures with Ryan Reynolds. So showing up on the set was a thing for her.
Funny how that works out, for sure.
When will he grow up and see benefits of becoming X-Men?
Which benefits? The matching unitards? The house that blows up every few years?
Please, house blowing up builds character.
You gotta love Colossus.
Yeah, and this relationship almost mirrors the relationship he has with his sister in the comics. Just Negasonic has kind of taken that place very loosely, so to speak,
We're back at the action sequence. Bystanders are running away. Dudes are showing up with all sorts of guns. And a side window of the car slides open and a head pops out.
You may be wondering why the red suit. Well, that's so bad guys can't see me bleed. This guy's got the right idea. He wore the brown pants.
I love that joke because I feel like that joke, it takes 2 seconds longer to hit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you go like the brown pants. Oh, I get it.
Fine. I only have 12 bullets, so you're going to have to share.
Let's count them down.
I mean, what a great concept for an action scene.
I have to say, watching the movie this time, Steve, I found it to be much more simplistic than I had remembered it being. And I don't mean that in a negative. I mean that they stripped away the need to make this like a grandiose adventure. They got down to the nuts and bolts here and where they splurge is the right places to splurge. A slow motion scene like this took a lot of choreography, as you were mentioning earlier, a lot of special effects to go literally count down the bullets as he's killing all of these people. And it's so smart in the way it's done. And you understand why they splurge on that and the other stuff they don't splurge too much. Scenes in strip clubs, scenes in dirt danky ass bars. It's the difference. And I think it's very smart the way they use it in the movie.
Well, part of it is it's so frequently you go like, well, I have a big story to tell in a tiny budget.
Yeah.
But stylistically, Deadpool works better with a tiny budget because all the jokes work better. If this were a big comic booky world, this wouldn't work as well, Because, and this is the thing too, is we're here to watch Deadpool. We're not, yes, there is a story. I actually think there's a really good story, particularly obviously the love story, which is amazing. But he is charming and fun to watch. It's like, okay, Deadpool, do some stuff. I'll watch.
Well,
you know?
that's why I think Deadpool and Wolverine at times didn't work for me fully because of it's just too grand of a scale for what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. He's much better when he's stripped down and it's ground based.
So what we're going to do, again, they establish something stylistically, structurally in terms of the bullets, because kills the first guy, and then we see the K scene with the number 12. Yeah. Why these bullets are numbered and in order makes no sense. But whatever. It's still great. Kills another guy. We see the 11, more headshots, and then he gets, and this is important too, because most people watching Deadpool, they don't know about his powers or anything or what he does. He gets shot through the arm. Then he looks through the hole in his arm at a motorcycle, and we watch it heal. And this goes like, oh, I get what this guy can do. Then he's firing at the motorcycle, and he goes,
10, shit, 9, 5, 8, shit, fuck.
Bad Deadpool.
Yeah. Then he shoots a guy.
7, good Deadpool.
Kills another guy. Then someone pulls a hand grenade. And again, this is like just a really well-designed moment. Pops the pin, is about to throw it. He fires with bullet number 7, exploding the hand grenade and taking out more guys. He gets shot, and we have guys advancing on him. And where did we see that he gets shot? Right up Main Street.
Yeah, exactly.
Initially, he was going to get shot in the head here, and this was Ryan Reynolds' idea to get shot in the butt.
Of course it was.
Yeah. And by the way, he's not just, it is right up Main Street. He did not get just shot in a butt cheek.
No.
It is dead center.
Between those two pillows.
I think National Women's Day might have really helped him prepare for this one. So.
maybe loosened it up. Yeah.
You never know.
I don't want to know. Anyway, yes, go ahead.
Reese, too stupid.
Worth it.
I mean, it just cracks me up. Even me sitting here saying the lines kind of cracks me up. Jumps over them, super cool flips. All the acrobatic stuff is great. There are two main stunt doubles doubling Ryan. They're Alex Kishkovich, and the other is Adrian Hine. And Alex blew out his knee during the final scene, like pretty badly. He's fine now, still doing lots of stunts. So they brought someone else in. But these guys, everybody said great things about these guys.
Yeah.
And if not, we've had great things for all these bullets. The shooting the hand grenade was fun. The missing and going bad Deadpool was fun. And this one, we got a great finale, which is 3 heads, 1 shot.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It's awesome. It's totally awesome. And then he brings those 2 guns to his face, inhales the smoke from his clip, and says,
Oh, I'm touching myself tonight.
So here's one of the other things they had to struggle with, which is the costume. These are really hard. Superhero uniforms are super, super hard to design, and the balance between making people look muscular and making it look practical and not, because the spandex that all comic books were drawn in for 70 years actually don't look that good on humans. And so this is really hard, and this is particularly hard because they got a dude in a mask the whole time. Mm-hmm, so the first thing, and they want him to have, who's going to be talking to camera, and this is a huge character. So how do we get his facial expression? Well, the one thing they did, they have different eyes. Those eyes pop out magnetically. So they had slightly different facial expressions and different purposes. So some of the eyes were really good for close-up, but that meant he couldn't see very well out of them. Some of them were for wide shots. If he's doing a fight scene, you wouldn't notice, then he can see a little better to do the action sequence. But they're in post, and there just isn't enough facial expression. There's just not enough going on. And, Ryan's trying to overemphasize his, I just did it for John, overemphasize his face movements to try to get it happen. It's not working. And so they bring in Weta, and they animate the face. So anytime you see, like in this moment where he's inhaling the smoke from the guns, anytime you see eyebrows raised and things like that, or squints or stuff like that, those are actually digital on top of the actual face mask that they used.
That makes sense.
And now we're looking for Francis, whoever this Francis guy is. And another guy pops up.
You're not Francis.
And the guy comes for him, rolling up his sleeves, and Deadpool pulls out his 2 katana and skewers the guy, lifting him up in the air. And we hear...
You're probably thinking, my boyfriend said this was a superhero movie, but that guy in the red suit just turned that other guy into a fucking kebab.
I mean, this had to be R-rated. And in particular, not just the violence, not just the jokes, but the F-bombs are just they are choice in here, I think.
Well, I may be super, but I am no hero. And yeah, technically this is a murder. But some of the best love stories start with a murder. And that's exactly what this is, a love story.
And we cut to, this is one of the few ass match cuts in cinema because we're close up on his ass with the hole in his, right at his butt. And then we cut to another butt in jeans. And I think originally I'm thinking that this is Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you did a match cut. The match cut tells you this is the same guy. And what we have is this guy ordering with a pizza delivery guy.
Are you Mr. Merchant? Yeah, the Mr. Merchant who didn't order the fucking pie. And who placed the call?
I did.
And out comes actual Ryan Reynolds, not mutant Ryan Reynolds, good-looking Ryan Reynolds in short hair wearing a B. Arthur t-shirt.
Which was part of the comics. Deadpool always had a healthy fascination with B. Arthur in the comics. So, yeah.
I don't think I've ever read a Deadpool comic.
Wow.
Deadpool started after I stopped collecting, so.
Gotcha.
The fuck are you? The fuck you doing in my crib?
And he pulls out a gun, and that guy immediately quiets down.
This is about that poker game. I told Howie, I told him at that. Look, just take whatever you want. Thanks.
And the pizza guy is angling for a big tip because he thinks this isn't about him. He's trying to get out.
That is a no-go on the Tipperoo, Jer. I'm not here for him. I'm here for you.
And I love the third guy. I love the other guy. The other guy is what makes the scene. Because he goes on this whole roller coaster and now he's relieved.
Okay, wow, dodged a big time bullet on that one.
Not out of the woods yet. You need to seriously ease up on the bedazzling. They're jeans, not a chandelier. P.S. I'm keeping your wallet. You did kind of give it to me.
I have to agree with Ryan or with Wade here. I don't get the bedazzling thing. I don't understand the bedazzling thing. When I see the bedazzling thing, I just go, I don't know what to do with this. It's a very strange thing. When I see it on license plates, when I see it on people's like cups and stuff, it's all very strange to me.
Well, that's the difference between you and me, because I love to bedazzle.
I'm sure you do.
Like, I don't go anywhere out without like at least some rhinestones or some shiny stuff and little sparkly gloss on my cheeks to bring out my eyes. I mean, you don't care about your appearance, John. I mean, that's what we're really coming down to.
I don't. I wish I could pull off the juicy sweatpants the way you do with that bedazzled juicy on the back, but I can't.
Well, not everyone can be a fashion plate like I am. That's all I have to say. I like that the one thing the guy wants out of his wallet is his Sam's card.
Okay, just look, man, can I have my Sam's card?
I will shoot your fucking cat.
I don't really know what that means. I don't have a cat.
Then whose kitty litter did I just shit in?
That's the one joke I never got. Like, well, I don't understand. The catty litter, the kit litter, whatever it is, the litter. Yeah, what is that?
Again, I don't know the answer because they talked about the joke too. I think it started with a pussy joke. I will shoot you in the pussy. And then somehow it evolved into that. But that's what I think.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. And John, we open up that pizza box. What name do we see?
It's Feige. Hey-oh.
Do you happen to know a Megan Orflowski? Getting that right? Orflowski? Orlovsky? Yeah? I'm a stalker. Threats hurt, Jer. Though not nearly as badly as serrated steel. So keep away from Megan.
What this is really is Save the Cat. Is that what we need to what's really interesting about the character of Wade Wilson is that he does terrible things and doesn't care about rules or anything in any way. But on some level, in some senses, he is a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is, if anyone starts playing D&D and they want to understand what alignments mean, this is the definition of chaotic good. Is you have no idea what he's going to do or where he's going to turn, but at the core, there is goodness in this guy.
I like it. I can't do D&D. I love you, though. I've tried it many times. Oh, I can't do it.
Did you feel like I was trying to persuade you or guilt you or peer pressure you into my D&D game?
Yeah.
John, I've got an 8th level elf I think you'd be perfect for.
Yeah, you nerds are like CrossFit with your D&D. It's like, all right, we get it. You play D&D. Calm it down.
I haven't played in like 6 years, but okay.
Yeah, that's a great point you make on the chaotic good, Steve, with him, because you're right. He does a lot of bad stuff, but he is going after a stalker. And we see this girl later because there is a follow-up scene with him telling her about what he did. So in a lot of ways, this is an interesting film that kind of floats around the idea of how women are treated throughout the whole movie, and how things are addressed. And so I think, in my opinion, this film is a very feminist movie, hiding underneath all the sarcastic jokes and the inappropriate jokes, the off-color jokes, the blue jokes, the sex jokes. All of that is there, but underneath it is a very pro-feminist movie, with how he handles his things, and especially his love for Vanessa when we get to that whole situation, how that all goes about. So yeah, it's not an accident to put this in the movie.
I agree. I think this is and what's funny is there are ways that you can explore important moral questions with a character like Superman or Captain America, who are deeply, deeply 100%. That's lawful, good, moral people.
Right.
But I actually think you can explore morality in other ways with this kind of a character.
Yeah.
Like there are other things we can do. And I think I'll tell you this is my total headcanon backstory, because we know that he was a mercenary and that he killed a bunch of people, and he's not doing that now. And what I think the interesting thing about Wade Wilson as a character is I feel like, I don't know if he ever consciously had this thought, but I feel like there's some level where he decided, I don't want to be the bad guy. I don't want to be an assassin. But I don't want to change who I fundamentally am, in particular, my sense of humor and my mouth and my way of looking at the world. How can I be a better person than I was, but not give up on who I am? That's kind of how I see where he is.
I think that's such a great analysis on that, because later when they're essentially having exchanging trauma porn stories with Vanessa, how could you expect someone to come out of a situation like that and have the normal approach to ethics and morals and all this kind of stuff? He's a guy who's still very much on his journey, right? And you're right, we're catching him now at this stage in his life when he's reconsidering everything he's done before, and now he wants to, because it isn't like Megan has a lot of money, like he says, right? So he does it because he cares about her. He cares about doing the right thing. And so he does it in a way maybe to balance the scales a little bit for the stuff he's done in the past.
So we're done.
Wait, we are?
No, we're totally done.
You should have seen your face.
I don't know what to do. I was so scared.
Soft spot, remember?
The I didn't know what to do is so funny, and I so think Shannon McClung could have played that part. He would have been so funny in that moment.
True.
He says, I was so scared. Now we think it's over. And we think, this was all pretty nice and good. And then he knocks the pie out of the pizza guy's hand, grabs him by the throat, and slams him against the wall. Again, this is another of our throat grab moments.
In her general direction again, and you will learn in the worst of ways that I have some hard spots too. That came out wrong. Or did it?
And then he kisses him. You know what it's like too? It's like being in a Bugs Bunny story, or in with Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop, which is that they're going to constantly break reality and make jokes and be silly things, and mostly everyone else has to just play it straight.
Yes.
He shows up at the skate park, drops off the pizza box for who we find out is Megan, and then Megan gives him a hug.
And that's why we do it, but mostly the money.
Hey, think you could fuck up my stepdad?
Give a guy a pavement facial, it's because he's earned it.
Hey, wait! You're my hero.
No. That I ain't.
And even as he's walking down the street, he fucks with some random guy who clearly knows him, who goes, "Fuck you, Wade."
Yeah, I think he tries to punch him. I think he does a Shannon McClung nut punch.
Yeah.
Megan, by the way, is played by Taylor Hickson, who has come on over the last few years. She was one of the main characters in the Motherland Fort Salem series, which ran for 3 seasons, and one of the main characters in Deadly Class, which is another comic book hero type of movie, show there as well. So done a lot of things. She's a Canadian actress, so she has some strong things to her resume since, but this is one of her first roles at the beginning of her career.
We end up at Sister Margaret's School for Wayward Girls or Children, which is actually a real bar in Vancouver, not called that. It's the Cobalt Bar. Apparently, when they shot this, it was in a really bad neighborhood. And that neighborhood has since turned into a hot hipster neighborhood. So the nature of that bar has totally changed. And this is, we know what this is as soon as we walk in. This is the tough guy bar for mercenaries, stuff like that. walks up to the bar.
Wade Wilson, patron saint of the pitiful. What can I do for you?
And that is TJ Miller playing Weasel.
Okay. I don't know what you're going to say about TJ Miller, but I'll give you some stuff on him. You guys have seen him in films like Unstoppable, Transformers Age of Extinction, Ready Player One, Underwater, which is a film that came out in 2020 that hardly anybody has seen, but it's such a damn good movie. But you've also heard him, of course, as the voice of one of the main characters in How to Train Your Dragon, Big Hero 6, the Emoji Movie as well. And I know him, and I think a lot of people know him from being a series regular in Silicon Valley. That's where I really got to know him. And of course, if you know that behind the scenes, there's been drama between him and Ryan Reynolds. TJ got himself into hot water himself. So it's all kinds of drama that has gone on between them. But I think he's good in the movie. He's the right kind of energy for this kind of character. It works.
Honestly, I don't just think he's good. I think he's great.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
he's so funny.
Totally.
I mean, there's only so much time that I want to talk about the personal lives of some of the, it's like,
oh, sure. Of course.
Like sometimes there are things we have to get into. And in this case, it's like, is he good in this movie? Yes, he's totally. I love what he's doing in this movie.
I'd love a blowjob.
Oh, God, me too.
The drink, loose knuckle.
Then we hear he actually isn't going to take the money on this last job because he doesn't want to take babysitting money. Again, this is pushing the save the cat. This is a little bit of a good guy.
For a Merc, you're pretty warm-blooded. Bet you let the kid off easy, too.
Oh, he's not a bad kid. He's just a little light stalking. I was way worse than him when I was his age. I was traveling to exotic places, Baghdad, Mogadishu, Jacksonville, meeting new and exciting people, and then
killing them. Yeah, I've seen your Instagram.
That's, one sentence to give us a backstory. That's great.
Yeah. Jackson, of course. I've been to Jacksonville. I get it. Trust me, I get it.
Have you been to the TGI Fridays in Jacksonville?
Yes, I think I might have been. Maybe. Yes, I saw some when I was there in Florida State. I had a few friends, like my friend Rain's Carr, who lived in Jacksonville, and I would go visit them on the breaks.
We always tell how you first came to a film. I can remember my first TGI Fridays like it was yesterday. Very specifically. I was going to look at colleges my senior year in high school, and we flew down to LA and drove to Pomona to look at Pomona, and there was a TGI Fridays there, and we went to it, and I was like, this is the greatest restaurant I've ever been to in my entire life. Look at this menu. There are all these things, and there's things on the wall, and I just thought when I was 17, I thought it was awesome.
My first experience with TGI Fridays is when they put it in my hometown in Virginia, when they opened the Potomac Mills Mall in Dale City. They built out the outer lying areas, and they built the TGI Fridays, and that was our hangout place in high school. Like TGI Fridays, and ironically, no lie, Steve, after my father passed and I flew home for his funeral, all my friends from high school who had come to the funeral, so kindly had come to the funeral, we went to the TGI Fridays afterwards like we did back in high school to just be together again, drinking beer and eating the massive chocolate cake that they have, ice cream cake that they have, as a way of remembering old times. So yes, TGI Fridays are amazing. And it breaks my heart that the Lady Outlaw does not like any TGI Fridays or Applebee's or Chili's, because I'd have taken her there about 100 times over the last 8 years that we've been together.
Well, next time you and I get together in reality, TGI Fridays, done.
In. I love it.
So he gets his blowjob, the drink, not the sex act, delivers it to one big guy saying it's from another big guy, starts a fight. Then when this guy gets knocked out, TJ Miller holds a mirror in front of his mouth to see that he's not dead. And that is what brings us to the idea of the Deadpool, which is where he gets his name, which is who did you pick to die first?
I picked Booth in the Deadpool. Who'd you pick?
Wait about that.
No. You did not bet on me to die.
And then we look up at this chalkboard where there's all the bets and all the names. And yes, Wade Wilson is there. And there are many other names. I will not give all of them, but enjoy your Easter eggs. But they include R. Reynolds, C. Sheen, L. Lohan, R. Liefeld, S. LaBeouf, and B. Putin are all on the Deadpool list.
Oh my God. By the way, before you criticize how they came up with the name, which of course they do later on in the movie, Rob Liefeld said he came up with the name from the Clint Eastwood movie, Deadpool. Right. So the Deadpool. So, it's not that deep. That pool.
And then when everyone's getting drinks, in walks Morena Baccarin, who plays Vanessa.
Such a great actress has come on, of course, recently now, the lead of Sheriff Country. If you guys are watching that on Paramount Plus or CBS, she was part of shows like Firefly, Stargate, SG-1, also V, the remake of V. She was a lead in that. She was been in The Flash, numerous episodes of The Flash, and voiced numerous characters in DC animated shows and movies as well. And I think Morena is great. And as you were alluding to, Steve, earlier, their relationship in this film is one of the most pure, loving relationships in all of in all of the superhero movies. And it's amazing how it progresses from the beginning here to all the way to the end of the movie.
I couldn't agree more. I think to me, and I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge, as we know, can't recall every single relationship in every superhero movie, but to me, there is only one that's close, and that's Superman and Lois Lane. Other than that, because you think about like Pepper Potts and Tony, I mean, like the power dynamics are all bizarre. She's always cleaning up his messes. There's so many, we have, I think Steve and Peggy Carter, like that's a really good one too. But most of the romantic relationships are kind of afterthoughts, and they're weird power dynamics, and there's like, whereas this is just, I think, and in particular, it's that they are just 100% equals. Like there is, they're just like meet together in the same place at the same time and get each other. It's so great.
Yeah. They're open about each other's issues and all the stuff. And that's what they connect on. Yeah, for sure. Apparently and they accept each other, which is really
exactly. Cool. Yes, that's the thing. And love each other for, it's what Wade says later, that my crazy fits your crazy.
Yep.
Which, by the way, that's honestly the best we can all hope for.
That's what I have.
Yeah.
That's what I have. I'm very fortunate, very blessed.
And that's what I have being single.
Okay. All right.
It's really crazy. By the way, they say they auditioned like 400 actresses for this role. I don't know if that's true, but what they say is basically the first reading she walked in and nailed it, which doesn't surprise me watching her performance.
Olivia Munn was in consideration, but then they ended up casting her as Psylocke. Simon Kinberg was part of the audition process for this as well. So
but less said about Psylocke, the character in that movie.
Sure, I think they made the right choice. Morena is such a good actress.
Oh, so good. And what I didn't realize is that she actually is in the comics. She's a mutant, and this is Copycat, which I didn't really realize.
That when she says she played a lot of roles, that's kind of what they're referring to. That's their little like inside baseball.
Vanessa.
Wait, what's a nice place like you doing and a girl like this?
And then the huge guy with the gray beard who we had seen fighting before walks by and says,
I did that.
Buck, you best apologize before.
Yeah. Vanessa has grabbed him, I think forcefully, by the testicles.
Yeah.
And she says, this is a great line.
Say the magic words, Fat Gandalf.
I'm sorry.
Breathe through the nose.
I don't have a filter between my brain and my ego.
Okay. Hey, ho. Hakuna has taught us. He's sorry.
So good.
He kind of touches her, and she goes, hands off the merchandise. And he says,
yeah,
in a very straightforward way.
Merchandise? Huh. So you, bum fuzzies for money?
Yep.
And then we go into one of the great flirting sequences of all time.
Again, as I've said, this is a quietly pro-feminist movie. Here's an introduction of Vanessa. What's the first thing that happens? You shove in this guy bumping her and saying, I'd hit that. Now, this logically doesn't make any sense because Vanessa's probably been at that bar many times. And so there's no way this guy doesn't know who she is. But they want to establish that she is her own woman, but Deadpool has the instinct to protect women. And so when he does that and he grabs the dude, he's like, you need to apologize. She does not need him to fight her battles and grabs his balls. And so it's a very strong moment. And then when he thinks he can put his hands on her in a way she says, hands off the merchandise. So it's a way of establishing her independence, but also Wade's natural instinct to care for a woman who's in trouble or in danger or has been disrespected. So it's like, it's really smart in these quiet little beats, how they're establishing their relationship and them individually and their instincts.
No, this is amazing screenwriting. This is so good because then what the next moment is, so when you have a suspicion that someone you just met might be a prostitute, the next moment is, so when you have a suspicion that someone you just met might be a prostitute, the next moment is, so when you have a suspicion that someone you just met might be a prostitute, the next moment is, so when you have a suspicion that someone you just met might be a prostitute, the next moment is, so when you have a suspicion that someone you just met might be a prostitute, the next moment is, so when you have a suspicion that someone you just met might be a prostitute, the next moment is, so when you have a suspicion that someone you just met might be a prostitute, the next moment is, so when you have a suspicion that someone you just met might be a prostitute, the next moment is, so when you have a suspicion that someone you just met might be a prostitute, the next moment is, so when you have a suspicion that someone you just met might be a prostitute, the next moment is, so when you have a suspicion that someone you just met might be a prostitute, the next moment is, so when you have a suspicion that someone you just met might be a prostitute, the next moment is, so when you have a suspicion that someone you just met might be a pro most people don't point that out openly right away.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
But he does, not only does he do it, he does it in kind of a crass way. You bump fuzzies for money. And then what's unexpected is she has no shame about that at all. That is, I mean, we don't know her entire feelings or how she got there, but she is pretty content in herself. Yeah. And you know what it is? And I'm not convinced that she doesn't continue to work on it as a prostitute throughout their relationship.
Right. I would think that makes all the sense in the world, and that he'd be okay with it because they accept each other, and that's what's really important. And she has no shame about it. And as you said, Steve, so well.
Well, and Wade's a guy who beats up people and kills people.
Yes.
So it's like there's no moral high ground here. This is just this is who we are.
Rough childhood.
Rougher than yours. Daddy left before I was born.
Daddy left before I was conceived.
What's so great is that they turn this competition into just it's yes and,
Yeah.
Daddy left, by the way, Daddy left before I was conceived is just a great joke anyway.
Ever had a cigarette put out on your skin?
Where else do you put one out?
I was molested.
Me too. Uncle.
Uncles. They took turns.
And they just keep trying to escalate. And we don't know. I actually think some of this is true. Some of this is not true. Where the border between true and not true is happening, I don't know, but I'm pretty damn sure that both of them have had a cigarette put out on them.
Oh, yeah.
I watched my own birthday party through the keyhole of a locked closet, which also happens to be
Your bedroom. Lucky I slept in a dishwasher box.
You had a dishwasher.
And what's so great, there's this moment where Vanessa smiles.
Yeah.
At the ridiculousness of something he said. And it is that moment where you're just like, oh, they're in. This is might be among the best love at first sights I've ever seen in any movie.
Well, also this shows you like when people experience trauma, some people, when they experience trauma, the only way to deal with the trauma in a way is to make light of it or find the humor in it in order to deal with it so you don't cry 24/7, right? And so the fact that they're two hardened people who come from shitty backgrounds and shitty abuse that can play this game with each other, essentially what I call trauma porn, going back and forth with each other about it. It is a way of accepting each other, but it's also a way of like saying like we understand each other and we don't like need to take this seriously for right now, but we know that we've got this inside of each other. We've built these walls in order to be able to exist. It's just really great stuff. And the audience doesn't have to feel like icky about or uncomfortable about it, right? Which I think is smart too. Yeah.
Oh, because they're so charming, they're so charismatic, they're so funny, and frankly, they're both really, really good-looking people. So
yeah, that's true.
Listening to them joke like this is we're kind of in.
I didn't even know sleep. It was pretty much 24/7 ball gags, brownie mix, and clown porn.
Who would do such a thing?
Hopefully you. Later tonight?
Which again is great. It's just great on every level.
$275 and a Yogurtland rewards card.
Baby, about 48 minutes of whatever the fuck you want. And a low-fat dessert.
Oh, man. Yogurtland, bro. Yogurtland, bro. There's a lot I would do for a Yogurtland. I love Yogurtland, man.
That's the whole like, no, you could just make a little and it would be cheap and put in whatever toppings you want and it's $12.
And you're putting 1,000 to 1,500 calories because you're like, oh, I'm getting yogurt, so it's healthy. I'll just put wet walnuts in, and I'll put sprinkles and a little bit of sauce. And by the time you're done, you've essentially eaten 2 Big Macs in the amount of fat and sugar.
Oh my God, yes. And by the way, this is this Deadpool has great violence.
Yeah,
Deadpool has great swearing. Deadpool has great lines and great comedy. This is a sexy movie.
Yes,
the sequences
sexy
with Vanessa are, they're great. And the line of 48 minutes of whatever the hell you want and a delicious dairy dessert. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
She walks away and Ryan Reynolds' reaction is just perfect. And then we have this abstract thought where it kind of looks like they're on top of each other. And we're like, oh, okay, we're cutting to the sex now. Now we're in the sex.
It's time to put balls in holes. You said whatever I want.
And then we rotate so we see that they're actually still standing at an arcade in front of Skee Ball.
I get it. You love skee ball. Apparently more than you love vagina.
That's a tough call. I just want to get to know the real you, not the shorter, two-dimensional sex object peddled by Hollywood.
What this is doing.
Yeah.
Because most of the love interests in superhero movies are cardboard, not, they are two-dimensional.
Yeah, they have been, yeah.
And then rather than rolling the skee ball up the ramp as one would normally do, he throws it into that upper left-hand hole that I literally have never put a skee ball in my entire life, I think. And I love that she looks at him and goes, "Ruh-roh." And he goes, "Ruh-roh."
Well, I hate to break it to you, but your 48 minutes are up.
Hey, how many more minutes can I get for this? FYI, 5 mini lion bots come together to form one super bot. So
5 mini lion bots? 3 minutes.
deal. What do we do with the remaining 2 minutes, 37 seconds?
Cuddle?
And what's so funny is that she is a sex worker, and what we have found is just true romance and connection between the two of them. I mean, when she says cuddle, she's in. She's 100% into this guy. And then we go to, look, there are a lot of great montages in superhero movies.
Oh, yeah.
Training montages, costume montages, searching for the Infinity Stone montages. This might be one of the greatest, or if not the greatest montage in all superhero. The Calendar Girl sex montage in Deadpool is fantastic.
Oh, get this up.
Oh, here?
Which is what sets us for, we're going to go through the whole calendar. We have Valentine's Day, very sexy.
Happy Chinese New Year.
Year of the dog.
And you see that it's doggy style. And then this moment, I won't say it's the moment of the movie, but I think this is an incredible moment on film, which is you see him breathing heavily, obviously in pain.
Relax. And happy International Women's Day.
Cut to her behind him with a strap on.
No.
I think this might be the most feminist moment in the MCU. I mean, it is. Yeah.
It's very sex positive, if nothing else, and that is what's amazing about it. Because they're both openly doing it, both accepting each other's kinks and having fun with it. And even by the end, Wade is exploring something he's probably never, or maybe he has, depending on how the uncles treated him. I don't know, but it's something in a love relationship he's experiencing this kind of thing. And that it's all set to one of the sweetest, most innocent 1950s songs or 60s songs, Neil Sedaka's Calendar Girl, makes it all the more funnier. And his estate or he had to approve them using the song for this sequence.
Oh, yeah.
So I wonder if he was in on it as well. Sedaka's always had a much more with it type of approach to things. So I'm sure he probably appreciated this. But yeah, it's a great sequence.
I think the thing that makes this moment so great is that he is consciously, actively deciding to be subservient to the woman that he loves. And that is an act of love. He is giving her something that hurts him because that's what this loving relationship is. As opposed to superhero movies that are filled with the male gaze, where it's frequently much more powerful men with much less powerful women. And here he is literally bending over for her,
Yeah.
And the next joke is a great joke too, because we go from happy, the filthiest one of Happy International Women's Day, to them sitting reading books quietly in their reading nook, and we hear Happy Lent because they've given it up. We got the fake tooth for Halloween. They're covered in food for Thanksgiving. And then we get to the Christmas sweaters.
Your left leg is Thanksgiving, and your right leg is Christmas. Can I visit you between the holidays? Listen, I've been thinking.
Really?
About why we're so good together.
Why is that?
Well, your crazy matches my crazy. Big time. And we're like two jigsaw pieces, the weird curvy edges.
You put them together and you can see the picture on top.
So sweet,
Yeah. Yeah, very much so.
The balance between crassness, violence, and incredible love and sweetness is what makes and to what you were saying before, this is not in Deadpool 2, and it's not in Deadpool Wolverine, you know? And this was the central core of what made this movie great.
And there's a lot of rumors why it's not in either of those two movies. And I don't want to believe those rumors, but if it's true, it really sucks because these two are great together in this movie. And I think it's one of the biggest things missing from those other two films. I'm on record on saying this for 10 years, that this is the greatest love story in the most honest, pure, realistic love story in all of superhero movies, because they accept each other 100%. They love each other for who they are. And they, yes, are vulnerable with each other in those moments. And yes, Wade laying down on the bed, allowing himself to be penetrated by her strap-on. You would look at it and go like, oh my God, no, this is something that they're accepting of each other and trying because they're vulnerable and they trust each other. And the fact that they're both coming from super sexually traumatic upbringings from what they exchanged in the earlier scene, this idea of surrendering that vulnerability to someone is a really massive thing to show how much you trust and love that person. So you have to establish that love relationship between these two people. And having a mercenary and a prostitute have this kind of like, dancing through the fields type of love, that's not realistic. This is much more realistic and honest. It's beautiful.
I think you put your finger on something really important, which is that it's obvious why Lois Lane falls in love with Superman. He's perfect. Sure.
Yeah.
Captain America, perfect. This love story is real, of people with flaws and complicated that found each other. And the feeling is there is no one else for Wade Wilson. And there really isn't anyone else for Vanessa. This is the person for you.
Wade, there's something I've been meaning to ask you, but only because you haven't gotten around to asking me. Will you, stick it
Marry
in
me?
And he pulls out that ring. And before we get there, I think there's an important fact here that has never not been pointed out. I have not seen this in any of my research on the thousands of message boards I've looked at it, the months, years I spent researching this film.
I was just going to say thousands of message boards.
Yeah, man hours, all sorts of stuff happened to research this film. Is that I believe that this proves, she says, I've been wondering why you haven't asked me this yet. So I will ask. And she is asking for anal sex. Is that correct? That is, stick it in my blank.
I would be surprised that they haven't had anal sex.
This is the point I wanted to make.
Yeah.
Well, I think it seems she says, you haven't asked me to do this yet. And I am surprised that I am asking you, which means that Wade Wilson got fucked in the ass before Vanessa ever did.
Yes.
I think that is an amazing little thing to point out here.
Where were you hiding that?
Nowhere.
And we're in a shot behind him as he raises his sweater. I will say Donald Sutherland from Animal House style. And a lot of people were very happy about Ryan Reynolds' ass.
Well, we see it a lot in this movie.
They say 1 month's salary, so
You mean?
I do.
That's my line. I love you, Wade Wilson.
It's a very sweet proposal.
What if I just held on and never let go?
Just ride a bitch's back like Yoda on Luke.
Oh, Star Wars jokes.
Empire.
Jesus Christ, it's like I made you in a computer.
Which is like a weird science reference. And this is, I mean, man, if you find someone who will joke back with you in your realm of jokes, that is the best.
Oh, yeah.
Life is an endless series of train wrecks with only brief commercial-like breaks of happiness.
He takes off his shirt, which, by the way, he looks fantastic.
I mean, amazing. Yeah.
Amazing. And it's strange because he's actually not shirtless for all that much of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's mostly in the suit, but he looks great here.
Which meant it was time to return to our regularly scheduled program.
And he faints.
Oh my God, wait!
And now we cut to an X-ray where you see lots of spots. By the way, this is the first thing they ever shot. In fact, not only is it the first thing they ever shot, but they pulled an Orson Welles, Greg Toland trick, which is they asked for a little pre-production camera test time, and that is when they shot this. One little way to get a little bit more out of your very small budget.
People react to news of late-stage cancer differently. There are certainly options we can look into. New drugs are being developed every day.
And we hear Vanessa immediately go on to, and I've been in this room and you've been in this room, what do we do? What are the plan? Let's make plans. We got to get stuff done. Let's get to work, all that stuff. Yeah. And as she's talking about that, the sound fades out and we just move in on Wade's face, looking at her. Ryan Reynolds is a really good actor. He what he does in this movie, the wacky stuff is full wacky. He goes on every level in silliness and he's hilarious. The heartfelt stuff is perfectly heartfelt.
Vanessa's already working on plan A, B, all the way through Z. Me? I'm memorizing the details of her face.
That's what is missing from the second and third movie. More of this. And it is a shame because those are the things that make those movies, makes this movie work so well.
So I think this is a really, really well structured. I like the flashback origin style, because it doesn't front load. It allows us to kind of go back and forth and move a little bit through it. And I think starting with the action sequence, then going to the cab, then back to the action sequence, then to the bar, and then to the Vanessa relationship before getting to what will be his origin superhero story is super effective in getting us both involved in the wacky, crazy, funny character of Deadpool and in the real person of Wade Wilson and this love story.
And as the audience, it's perfect. They made us fall in love with them just before they showed us the real harrowing thing that's going to lead to him becoming Deadpool. So we now are invested in this relationship, and we're shocked now. We care about Wade, and so now it's like, oh fuck, what's next?
Well, what's next, John, is a great question because I think what's next is going to be episode 2 of our exploration of Deadpool. Sorry, everyone. But we've gone as far as we can go today. Of course, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe some of the Easter eggs and jokes that we missed on this, because I'm sure there are many. You could visit us on our Facebook page. Just do a search for the Cine-Files. It's Cine-Files. It's Cine_Files on Twitter. It's the Cine-Files podcast on Instagram. Please subscribe to the show if you haven't already. Leave comments and reviews anywhere you can. And if you want to reach me, and of course, support us on patreon.com/thecine-files as well as Apple Podcasts. And if you want to reach me, it's at SR Morris on Twitter. John, how would people reach you?
You can always reach me at The Rocha Says on all the social media channels. And please head on over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Rocha Says. See all the stuff we're doing there on the YouTube channel as well. Thank you all so much.
And I think that's it for this week. We'll be back next week to continue our exploration of Deadpool right here on the Cine-Files.